What if I told you that the one thing standing between you and the person you want to become isn't a lack of talent? It's not a lack of time. It's a lack of a single small decision. We're all waiting for permission, waiting for confidence, waiting for a burst of courage to land on us like a gift. But the truth is, the Navy SEALs I've interviewed, the world class innovators, the intuitive guides, they all agree courage is not a personality trait you possess, it's a daily choice you make. My friend Scott Simon, founder of Scare Your Soul and guest on episode 300, nailed it. Most people think courage is jumping out of airplanes or quitting your job to move to Bali. But the truth, it's the micro challenges, the tiny daily aspects of courage that move the needle the most. In a world addicted to waiting, the ultimate act of becoming is choosing bravery for the next 10 seconds. Welcome to Passion Struck. Hi, I'm your host, John R. Miles, and on the show, we decipher the secrets, tips, and guidance of the world's most inspiring people and turn their wisdom into practical advice for you and those around you. Our mission is to help you unlock the power of intentionality so that you can become the best version of yourself. If you're new to the show, I offer advice and answer listener questions on Fridays. We have long-form interviews the rest of the week with guests ranging from astronauts to authors, CEOs, creators, innovators, scientists, military leaders, visionaries, and athletes. Now, let's go out there and become passion struck. I've interviewed hundreds of people who operate at the absolute edge of human performance. Navy SEALs who kicked in doors while bullets fly. CEOs who bet everything on one decision. Artists who risk total public humiliation night after night. And do you know what every single one of them has told me without exception? They don't have courage like it's a fixed trait. They vote for it every single day. This is the core psychological bridge we must cross. Courage isn't waiting for confidence to show up. Courage isn't waiting for clarity. Courage is acting first, and confidence catches up later. The second you wait for certainty, you've already lost the rep. Real courage isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to be brave for the next 10 seconds. That 10-second choice is a vote you cast for your future self against the heavy, lazy gravity of who you are right now. In our series this month on the season of becoming, 4 extraordinary guests showed us exactly what those votes look like in real life. Not skydiving, Medal of Honor, quit your job and sail the world heroism, just 4 daily decisions that anyone can make. Susan Grau voted to listen to the quiet voice of intuition when life broke her open. And Libera voted to drop the script and show up unperformed, raw, and real. Brent Gleeson voted to stop negotiating with his own potential and hold the line in private. And Henna Pryor voted to step into awkwardness on purpose, long before she felt confident. That's it. The only difference between you and them, they kept voting for the uncomfortable option. And it all starts with the very first vote, the courage to listen. So we start today's exploration with Susan Grau, who taught us that sometimes life has to shatter you before it will remake you. As a little girl, Susan was accidentally locked inside an unplugged freezer. She died in there, clinically, spiritually, completely. Then she came back. What she brought with her wasn't just survival, it was a new operating system for courage. The line that she told me from her experience that stopped me cold is this: what I run from chases me. What I try to control ends up controlling me. That's the vote she keeps making every day. Stop running, stop gripping, and finally face the thing you're most afraid to feel. When grief, loss, or betrayal rips the old version of you apart, you're left with 2 paths: numb it, distract it, control it, or get quiet and listen to whatever voice is trying to be born in the wreckage. Susan says real connection to yourself, to your purpose, only happens in radical presence. You can't hear your soul when your head is full of grocery lists, resentments, or tomorrow's to do list. So here's the first daily vote of courage, the one that Susan casts again and again. Pause, breathe, and ask one simple question. Highest self, what would you have me do right now? Then shut up and listen. That's it. 10 seconds of stillness instead of scrolling, 10 seconds of surrender instead of force. That tiny act, choosing to listen when every instinct screams, fix it, fight it, or flee, is the first brick in the foundation of your future self. You see, courage isn't forcing a new outcome, it's allowing the thing you can't control to become your teacher. That's Susan's vote. What's yours going to be today? If Susan gave us the courage to listen, and Libera gave us the courage to show up without the mask. Anne runs comedy studios at the Second City, the same stage that launched Tina Fey, Steve Carell, and half the people who've ever made you laugh until you cried. And here's what she hammered home. Improv isn't about being funny, it's about being free. The second you try to be funny, you're dead on the stage and dead in life because you're no longer in the moment. You're performing an old script you wrote in your head to impress people who probably aren't even watching. Anne's daily vote of courage is simple and terrifying. Drop the script. Stop over engineering your personality. Stop rehearsing the perfect line. Stop polishing the version of you that you think will finally be enough. Instead, walk into the scene, any scene, and meet it exactly as it is. Say the true thing. Admit the awkward thing. Risk looking a little lost, a little human. That's the micro action Anne wants you to take today. The next time you're in a meeting, a date, a family dinner, or even standing in line at coffee, catch yourself performing and do one unscripted micro edit. Say the real feeling out loud. Ask the real question. Let the silence sit instead of filling it with noise. One honest beat instead of the rehearsed routine. That tiny surrender, choosing discovery over control, presence over performance, is the second daily vote for your future self. Because the you who's trying to be impressive is the old you. The you who risks being real, that's the one who's just starting to become. Now, before we keep going, let me hit pause here for a second. Everything we're talking about today, listening like Susan, dropping the script like Anne, it sounds great in a podcast, but it only becomes real when you actually do it. That's why, for every single episode on Passion Struck, we build a free companion workbook packed with reflection questions, identity exercises, and the exact micro courage challenges we're walking through right now. These aren't fluffy PDFs. They're the real difference between that was inspiring and that podcast episode actually changed me. Grab yours at theignitedlife.net, my Substack, completely free when you join the Ignited Life community. It takes about a minute and you'll get the workbook for this episode and every episode delivered straight to you. Okay, we've already cast 2 votes today. Susan's vote to listen when everything inside you wants to run, Anne's vote to drop the script and risk being real. Now we go harder. Former Navy SEAL Brent Gleeson is about to challenge every single excuse you've ever made with your potential. So if courage is a daily vote, Brent just walked in and raised the price of admission. He's a former Navy SEAL who survived BUDS, the cruelest proving ground on Earth, and then had to survive coming home. His greatest act of leadership wasn't kicking in a door under fire. It was the night he looked in the mirror, admitted he was drinking himself to death, and chose sobriety when no one was watching. That's Brent's daily vote. Stop negotiating with your own potential. He says most of us already know exactly what we need to do. The gym membership is paid. The conversation is overdue. The alarm is set for 5 a.m. But then every morning, we just sit at the table and start bargaining with ourselves. Just one more snooze. I deserve the drink. It's been such a hard day. I'll start on Monday. You see, the enemy is not a lack of knowledge, but a lack of commitment. We know what to do, but we negotiate the terms. I'll skip the gym today. I'll start tomorrow. That conversation can wait. These tiny negotiations create a gap between who we are and who we know we're capable of becoming. And that's why Brent's lens as a seal is so brutal and beautiful. Comfort is a disease, discipline is freedom. And the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the standard that you're willing to hold when no one's clapping. So here's the third daily vote of courage, the one Brent demands. Ask yourself right now, what standard am I honoring in private today? Not when the world is watching, not when the camera's on, when it's just you and the choice. That private standard is the blueprint for your entire public life. No more deals, no more tomorrow. Just one non negotiable vote for the version of you that refuses to settle. That's how a seal builds a life. And that's how you build yours, one unrelenting private decision at a time. Now, the fourth and final vote, the one most of us avoid like the plague. Henna Pryor walked on the show and exposed the quiet cowardice killing modern life. We would literally rather scrub a stranger's toilet than ask a coworker for 5 minutes of help. 30% of people admitted it in a survey. 30%. Why? Because we've convinced ourselves that needing help equals weakness. That one vulnerable question will broadcast to the entire office. I'm slow. I'm dumb. I don't belong here. Henna's answer is blunt and liberating. We're not weak. We're just out of practice. Hybrid work, endless Slack threads, and AirPods have atrophied our awkward muscle. We've forgotten how to have a normal human moment, so we magnify it into a 5 alarm identity crisis. And here's the cruel psychological trick your brain plays, the spotlight effect. You think everyone can see your racing heart, your flushed face, that neon sign flashing, I'm nervous. They can't. They're too busy worrying about their own neon sign. Henna's fourth daily vote of courage is the simplest and the scariest. Feel the awkward and move anyway. She gave us two game changing moves. First, change one word. Stop saying, I'm awkward. Say, I'm feeling awkward right now. Feelings pass, identity sticks, language matters. Second, she told us to treat awkwardness like the gym. Confidence isn't the prerequisite, it's the result. You don't get strong by watching other people lift. You get strong by picking up the damn weight. So here's your rep for today. Your one awkward set. Send the message you've been drafting and deleting. Ask the question you're afraid makes you look stupid. Say hi to the person you always nod past and give the compliment you've been swallowing for weeks. One rep, 10 seconds of discomfort, zero actual risk. That single awkward action is the fourth vote that you can cast for your future self. Because the version of you who's waiting to feel confidence first, they're going to be waiting a very long time. The version of you who feels the flutter and hits send anyway, that's the one who becomes unstoppable. Okay, my friends, let's bring this home. We began by shattering a lie we've all been sold, that courage is something a few rare people are born with. We end by claiming the truth we can all live by. Courage is something we choose, one small, deliberate vote at a time. 4 guests, 4 seasons of life, 4 daily decisions that have nothing to do with skydiving or quitting your job to sail the world, and everything to do with becoming the person you already know you're meant to be. First, Susan taught us to listen when the old you is breaking open. Second, Anne taught us to unscript and finally show up as the real you. Third, Brent taught us to commit and stop cutting deals with your own potential. And fourth, Henna taught us to practice awkwardness on purpose because that's where real confidence is forged. That's the entire playbook for the season of becoming. None of these votes require heroic willpower. They're 10-second choices, a breath, a text, a question, a stand you quietly honor. If you're listening right now and there's a goal that keeps slipping, a conversation you keep postponing, a version of you that feels just out of reach, hear this. You're not behind. You're one courageous vote away. Your past doesn't get the final say. Your fear doesn't get the final say. Only today's choice does. So make it right now. Cast one small vote for the future self who's been waiting patiently on the other side of this moment. That's how becoming actually happens. One uncomfortable, beautiful, ordinary decision at a time. Thank you so much for joining us today on Passion Struck. As a reminder, you can head over to theignitedlife.net and grab the free companion workbook for this episode. It'll walk you step by step through choosing your next vote today. Next week, I'm sitting down with Boris McGuire and Ollie Raisin of Saffarini Leadership. And this was such a fun conversation because they both lead a transformational leadership program that's based in Kenya, where they take executives out of the boardroom and into the bush, walking side by side with Sambora elders to relearn belonging, purpose, and what leadership looks like when connection is a survival skill.
I think in the West, we are obsessed with time, right? And we're obsessed with who's first and who's the youngest. We can all name entrepreneurs like Mark Zuckerberg, who became billionaires at 19 or 20. There are many successful entrepreneurs who build multi-million-dollar businesses, but they don't achieve it until they're 50 or 55, and that's just not interesting to us. It's not sexy. It's almost like we fetishize this idea that speed is the most important thing. And I think it speaks to the fact that in the West, we are destination driven. Whereas the Samburu, it's much more about the journey. It's the life's path, and how you get there is more important than where you end up.
Until next time, remember, this isn't about perfection. It's not even about personality. It's about recommitting again and again to the person you know you're capable of being, especially when no one else is watching. I'm John Miles. You've been Passion Struck.